And he's a very powerful individual indeed, this guy, nowadays. And thanks to him, I started to move my first, let's say I had my first radio show. Then obviously I moved out of the Catholic radios when I could finally get free of that thing, because it was a bit heavy, you know, to have that kind of restrictions. I remember the bishop censored me once because I was playing Frankie Goes to Hollywood. That was quite hilarious. But actually, I was quite challenging in my radio show, and that was sometimes a bit disturbing for the bishop. But
how'd you get involved with the Monte Carlo Lodge?
Well, as I said, later on I was given also a TV show that went on the early start 2000. So I did 93 episodes for Vatican TV. And this was also always as a VJ, as a music entertainer. And then I was picked up into the Monte Carlo Lodge because all the famous people in Italy who start becoming famous, they get picked up in this kind of lodges. Because if you are... first, I was initiated by Prince Aliata di Monreale, who was himself a very important character in the structure of the original P2, and a prince from old nobility, also from the Holy Roman Empire nobility in Rome. He initiated me to preserve Sicilian Freemasonry and gave me certain instructions back then. It was the 13th of April 1993. And those instructions was to get initiated, then regularize my position in London to the United Grand Lodge of England, and then become a member of the Monte Carlo Lodge. These three things I did, and then after that, I also started to infiltrate all the various secret societies that the Monte Carlo Lodge wanted to manipulate, amongst them the various OTO, Golden Dawns, Società Rosacruciana in Anglia, and various fraternities, Fraternitas Rosacruciana Antigua, Fraternitas Saturni, which is a, imagine there is a society only for vampires who drink blood and are Freemasons, and they're based in Germany, most of them, Ordo Saturni and Fraternitas Saturni, and they are so evil that even the SS closed them down during the war. But they are still existing, and they are part of this big network of secret societies that seems to fight each other in the below ranks, without knowing that on top they're all in it together, you know.
You stated earlier that these lodges and the New World Order, the Illuminati, are connected all around the world. Tell us a little bit about what you learned about how they really operate.
Well, for example, Jean-Pierre Giudicelli is a typical example. He is a member, a high-ranking member of the Priory of Zion, of the P2, of several magical societies within the decadent French aristocracy. They do orgies, eyes wide shut style. They do all these kind of things. And obviously with the Jesuits' involvement, with the involvement of various cardinals. And they're all Knights of Malta, obviously, all of them, and Knights Templars, because they have to give themselves an importance. But they are doing all forms of perversions, and they even share, for example, lovers, like Jean-Pierre Giudicelli shares the same lover as the Prince of Monaco, who is bisexual and has two kinds of lovers, a male one and a female one. So, but apart from that, the important thing in all these secret societies is to gather information. The more information you have about the individuals and what they practice and what they like, what is their sexual appetite, what kind of books they read, what kind of films they see, everything is put down as information that later is used to manipulate the character and to bring him forward if they need. Because at the end of the day, Greg, as we said in the past, they have to be blackmailable if you need to bring them at the higher levels, like Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton. These two people are they are two typical perverts. The woman, she is a lesbian, he likes to watch, and together they get high on very perverted and sick things that normal people will find quite non-moral. But for them, in their kind of environments, I guess everything is permitted. So Hillary and Bill have quite a fancy life. We have a similar case in Italy. Actually, they're friends of Hillary and Bill. It's called Maurizio Costanzo, a P2 member, who also has this woman who is married with this woman who is a lesbian, and together they manipulate a whole bunch of people, and he loves to see and obviously all this blackmailed by the Vatican, who knows everything, and the Vatican is always there ready to give their blessing and say, I forgive you, don't worry, give me the money and I forgive you. The important thing to the Vatican is that you always have to give them some money, and then it's okay. Then you can be Rothschild, you can be whoever you want. Obviously, Rothschild have more responsibilities than others because they are the bankers, the big bankers behind the P2. And the Rockefeller are the same. The Rockefeller also work, David Rockefeller, directly with Ezio Junquilla. I was there several times when they had direct phone calls with these people.
I was gonna ask you to make this connection between the Monte Carlo Lodge in America and some of the connections, the people that talk in Europe and America, and how they work together and how they've infiltrated our country.
Show, I want to give you the name of the lover of Marcinkus, which nobody knows, but now that Marcinkus obviously is dead, we can give it, even if she's still alive. She's from Miami. She's called Sandra Rossini, and she's the lover of Marcinkus for many years, and they used to meet together at Viale Portuense 936, where they used to have this villa, and they used to hang around. So just so to give you, and obviously Marcinkus was a very important person in this big game, this stay-behind operation, this Gladio operation that also included the clergy in Poland. And we saw recently what kind of scandal erupted with they thrown out this bishop now. But it's a complete...
Yeah, and for those listeners, I just wanted to mention, we're talking about Archbishop Marcinkus, who passed away last year. He was the Archbishop of Chicago, who was the head of the Vatican Bank during the scandal back in the 80s. What about this connection in New York? With the
Comandante Balestrieri.
Yeah, give us. I want to hear about that. Go ahead.
Well, the connection in New York is basically that one of the directors, present directors now of the Rotary Club in New York, also the director of the international division of the Rotary Club at the United Nations, is called Giorgio Ugo Balestrieri, and he is a P2 member in charge of the weapon department of the P2, who used to trade illegally weapons in the 70s in the port of Livorno, where we know is still residing Pazienza until he will be free, Francesco Pazienza.
Right.
These characters are all from the same environment, and I can tell you that Comandante Balestrieri shouldn't be the director of the Rotary Club and shouldn't have even an American passport, but because he was a loyal P2 member to the Vatican and to Gladio, because he was also a Gladio member, he became a director of the Rotary Club in New York City and is now the most influential Rotary Club member in the United States. And he is also presently becoming the national head of the Order of the Sons of Italo-Americans, the OSIA. The OSIA is really what I could describe only as the legalized and organized version of mafia. But they call it, they seem to be very powerful, but they will never touch us, I tell you, Greg, even if they have a very famous anti-defamation group. But they know that I'm talking the truth when I say that they are really, they're really a shame for the Italian community to put people like Balestrieri in charge, because these people are Satanists, and Balestrieri has been involved and taken orders for many years from Francesco Cossiga, who was an ex-Italian president. And Francesco Cossiga is the guy who works for the Jesuits. He's in charge of the SMOM in